Galactus. Love him, hate him, you're here to get a better understanding on one of the most annoying cards in Marvel Snap, and the best deck to run him in for Season 9. CW is... First things first, do you have everything that you need to run a successful Galactus deck?
The following is a list of cards I would deem essential to running a successful Galactus deck. Number 1, Wave or Electro. Having a way to play Galactus before turn 6 is essential to capitalizing on his ability. Number 2, Null or Death. You need a lot of power to ensure that you win the solitary location left behind. These are two of the best cards to get the job done. Number 3, Spider-Man and Professor X. Adding an element of control to your deck for the final say on that last location is a sure way to victory. Having these cards, or cards that do similar effects, are essential to supporting Galactus' mission. These, however, are the best to get the job done at the moment. Yondu, one of the slickest characters in the MCU, a la James Gunn. Keep clear of safe locations to play your Galactus combo on. It's better that your junk location suffers than you have no place to play Galactus. This one cost has the chance to do irreparable damage to your opponent's deck, while helping to buff your null in the process. A pretty tilting card to run in, to say the least.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Cloak. Has his own show I didn't know about. Helps to alleviate the board of other junk to make a nice landing zone for the king. Great card to have playing into junk decks, or the Savage Lands location. At 2 mana 4 power, this is an all-around solid card, while also providing answers to the many problems in the way of your Galactus plays. Electro. One of the boys and one of the 2 enabling cards in your arsenal to get the big man out early. Has a hindering ongoing effect, so if you're able to get rid of him after playing him, I would. Don't stress too hard, as this deck doesn't require too many multi-card plays past turn 4 anyway. Wave. She is your Virgin Mary who will birth the new lord of this game for you. Rolls out the red carpet for the big boss man himself, allows you to play any of your 6 costs on 4. So if you don't have Galactus in hand, you can still play Destroyer or Professor X a little early. Everyone knows this card means Galactus, so expect counters to be played on your target locations. Shang-Chi. Came out the year after the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which means it's cultural evidence that Sonic inspired a new era of ring-related content. Your end-all be-all card for turn 6, he won't grant you an insane amount of power or anything, but he will prevent your opponent from having anything stronger than a 9 on their board. Probably the lamest card in the game, but very necessary for this deck. Make sure you reveal second if you're gonna play him. Spider-Man. Everyone's favorite superhero turned menace. Despite the recent changes to this card, the purpose of him in this deck is uninterrupted by the mana change because of wanting to play him on turn 5 anyway. This card will result in a retreat from the opponent way more than any other card in the deck when played correctly. Play it on turn 5 after Galactus and you can end the game however you like. Taskmaster. No, not Greg Davis. The tormented assassin who looks strikingly like Skeletor from He-Man and copies people's fighting styles like Kakashi. She's your best tool for getting extra power down on the board. And the best means of doing so is waiting to play Taskmaster until after playing Null or Destroyer on turn 5. Power is dependent on your previous card surviving, and it is also an on-reveal ability, which is countered by Cosmo, so be aware of that. Professor X. Makes me wish I had Jeff. Locks down a location. A great control card to play on turn 4 after playing Electro on turn 3. Be aware that the cards on lockdown locations can still be buffed. And look out for Jeff. A great card to round out your junk location, on top of the Yondu, Cloak, and Wave or Electro. Null. Canonically known for beheading one of the celestial beings with his sword and taking the power of lesser creatures with his symbiotes, his ability is very on brand. This is a quick reality check. 9 out of every 10 times you roll a mystery variant, it will be a pixel variant or a Korg variant, and that's statistically true. His ability is very dependent on cards being destroyed prior to his arrival. Has the potential to be your highest power card, far and away. Still very vulnerable to a variety of control cards, however. Galactus.
Kneel before Galactus.
He is the king. Kneel before him. He needs to be played early in order to capitalize off of his ability properly. Your entire deck is built around playing on one location, so don't worry. The hardest part about playing this deck is accepting that sometimes, despite being able to play him, you shouldn't play Galactus. Galactus has the coolest card animation in the game. You know it, I know it. We're moving on. Destroyer.
There. Boom.
Lives up to his namesake and incinerates your entire board. Is one of the highest power cards in the game, only losing out on pure power to Orca in a 1v1. Playing this card after Professor X is a great combo to maintain power in a location and get a 15 cost card on the board. Death. She comes for us all, but she comes especially early when other cards have been destroyed. She costs 1 less mana for every other card that's been destroyed thus far, a great way to surprise your opponent with an extra 12 power at the end of the game, but is dependent on Destroyer or Galactus having gone off prior. One of the ways to protect Death is to play her and Professor X on turn 6 to ensure that she does not get Shang-Chi. Strategy. The plan is simple, and a lot of people will give you grief for how little thinking is really involved in how to play this deck, but we are looking to follow a 4-step process. Number 1. Establish a junk location and use your early game cards exclusively there. Step 2. Enable your high cost cards with either Wave or Electro, or if you have Psylocke, that's also an acceptable substitution. Step 3. Use high cost cards to set up the board to take control on turns 5 and 6. Dwindling down the locations to just 1 with Galactus is just a great way to take control of the game and make your opponent want to retreat way sooner. Step 4. Control the remaining locations and take your free cubes. It's that simple. There are a few variations of the deck that run Wolverine and Nimrod, allowing you to play Galactus on 6 as a means of a surprise finish. This isn't necessarily bad, but I feel like it gives your opponent much more turns to draw cards that counter Galactus, or limits your play potential on your final space because Nimrod and Wolverine are going to be sitting on top of your Galactus.
I hope you've enjoyed this Galactus guide. Make sure to comment below on what decks you're running, and maybe it'll be the next video that I make. Also like and subscribe to the channel if you want to go ahead and see content similar to this in the future. If you want to see this deck in full action, go ahead and check out my video here where I achieve infinite rank in under 30 minutes running this exact deck. If not there, you can also check me out at twitch.tv/callmedante. We're live right now, I guarantee it. Go check. Enjoy guzzling up those cubes. I'll see you later.